Yeah, here we go now, baby. We are right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Mega Football Friday edition of Before You Bet. You're in live right now on the Coverage YouTube and X channels. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button right down there. So a great big show planned for you guys today. This is our biggest show in a long time because we got college football with Brad starting up here in a couple of seconds. NFL with Jingles. World Series, Game 1, and then on the tail end of that, Jon Metler will be by. Him and I have 5 picks in the National Basketball Association. It was the return of the Sweet Boys last night for John and I. We swept the board in NBA. Good start to the season in NBA for yours truly. 5-1, 3-1 last night when you include the Thursday night football action. Hey, the Rams could be back. They're not out of it yet. 3-4. Very wide open there in the NFC West. Can we pump the brakes a little bit about how great of a defensive coordinator Brian Flores is? He is not on a great run here. He did not look good. That defense did not look good last night. Okay, so very active live chat here right off the bat. I love to see that. More amazing picks. Easy Kuzma under with no injury. Yeah, he stinks. He must have had like 5 air balls there last night. So hit up that live chat, guys. Let us know. We got so much going on here in the world of sports. I think we have 18 total bets across the 4 leagues here between the 4 guys, myself, and the 3 guests on the show today. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. We're starting with college football. We're going down to our guy in sunny Las Vegas, Brad Powers. How are we making out?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, as always.
Indeed. All right. So we got a gauntlet to go through, Brad. You came on Monday's show. Brad gave out 2 best bets on Monday's show. If you're looking to tail those bets, it's too late. He went 2-0 with those. Kennesaw State, of course, they not only covered the spread on Wednesday as a 24-point underdog, they won that game outright. I don't know why Brad didn't give us the money line on that one, but we'll take the spread there. 24 points. Then Pittsburgh covered last night. They were favored by 5.5. They won 41-13. Okay, so 3 games on the board here tonight in college football, Brad, headlined by Boise State and the team on your hat and your shirt there, UNLV, and we also have Rutgers, USC getting after it. Anything stand out to you on the betting board here tonight for college football?
Yeah, I like Boise tonight. Now, the price isn't great because you could have found 2.5, 3 earlier in the week, but 3.5, I'm still willing to lay it here. I like the spot for Boise off a bye, getting UNLV playing a 5th straight game. UNLV's been involved in some close games, including that overtime game against Syracuse a couple weeks ago. I also, look, obviously Ashton Genty gets all the headlines and deservedly so for Boise, but they're more than just Ashton Genty. They lead the nation in sacks on defense, so they really get after the quarterback. They got a really good wide receiver by the name of Cam Camper, who I think is one of the more underrated wide receivers in the country. Their quarterback protects the football. They have a good offensive line. And I can't get last year's Mountain West Championship game out of my head. It was played at Allegiant, same 2 teams. Boise killed them. I mean, they're both better than last year, but what's changed in a 6-7 game sample size since then, a half a season. So Boise for me, I like them -3.5.
Okay, into Saturday's action. Let's start with this one. Kind of an interesting situation, I think, in this matchup. Illinois taking on Oregon. Oregon favored by 21.5, total 54.5. So some people might have been thinking last week Oregon may be a bit of a letdown spot against Purdue, coming off that win against Ohio State. They smacked them. They win 35-0. And Illinois played Purdue a couple weeks ago. They only beat them by 1 point. Big spread here. Illinois, pretty good team. We saw what they did against Michigan last week. Do you think this is too many points?
I hear you and understand that, but people also said that about Purdue last week. Oh, too many points to lay, short week off Ohio State. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, the market says different. Market says different here as far as Illinois' ability to compete. I'm going to go under. I'm not bet the game. That's saying something because you know me, I bet about 100 plays a week. I'm going to go under because of a variety of reasons. Number one, I think the script for Illinois is there for them to, at least try to be competitive. They went on the road to Penn State. It was a whiteout at night on a Saturday night, and they just, try to control the clock, play good defense, lost 21-7. I don't think they're going to be able to hold Oregon to 21 points, but on the other side, Oregon, what's their motivation for margin? This is the 12-team playoff era. They're not looking for style points. Go in, do what you got to do, win, similar to what they did against UCLA, similar to what they did against Purdue. I don't look at this offense and say, oh, they're going to put up 40-something here. So under for me.
Okay, next up, let's take a look at Missouri, Alabama. Alabama in a major slump here over their last 3 games. We know that. Despite that, they're favored by 18 points in this game, looking to get back on track on their home field. Now, last time Missouri played a ranked team, they got destroyed 41-10 versus Texas A&M. So do you think Alabama can get the train back on the tracks and cover this number?
I do, but the number's gotten away from us, to say the least, because, I mean, there's whispers that, more than whispers, I mean, the line is telling you that Brady Cook right now, as of Friday afternoon, is not going to play in this game, and it's going to be Drew Pine. If that's the case, I mean, Missouri's completely, I would say, no shot and moving the football here. Have you seen Drew Pine at quarterback? I tweeted out a video of him when he was at Notre Dame a couple years ago. He's not a Division I quarterback. I'll just put it that way. So let's go team total here. Under 16.5. Don't like Pine if he plays. Although now I'm starting to get whispers that Brady Cook might play. Like, I mean, he did come back from the hospital last week, lead a comeback. But if he does play, he's going to be compromised on that ankle, not being able to run around. So either way, under 16.5 team total Missouri.
Okay, next up, let's take a look at Longhorns taking on Vanderbilt here. Of course, Texas was on an ass-kicking tour all season. Then they ran into Georgia last week. We know what happened, so they're going to be looking to rebound. They're favored by 18 points here, total of 51. Vanderbilt on a nice little roll here, 3 straight wins. We know they beat Alabama a couple weeks ago. Do you think Texas can pick up where they left off before they ran into Georgia?
I do. A lot of people are telling me, oh, Vanderbilt's aside. I'm just like, whenever people line up on the dog, a la Purdue last week, I kind of want to go the other way. But instead of laying the 18 here, let's, go after the derivative market again because it's late in the week. Texas team total over 34.5. And I think they'll want to atone for last week's miserable first half against Georgia, to say the least, especially their offensive line and Quinn Ewers. I also think, Alabama's offense, nothing great this year. Had the ball for 17 minutes against Vanderbilt in the game they lost, still scored 35 points in that game. So the true weakness of this Vanderbilt team is their defense. So let's go ahead and take advantage of it. Texas team total over 34.5.
Okay, game of the week, I think, Saturday night in prime time. LSU taking on Texas A&M. A&M favored by a single point, total 55. Similar seasons for each of these teams. They dropped their season opener. Each has since rattled off 6 straight wins. Very important game for these teams. Each of them at minus 110 odds to make the college football playoff. Who do you think has the edge here?
Current form, I like LSU better. I trust them more. Their defense is on the ascent. They're off their best defensive performance in the last 2 years last week on the road against Arkansas. They found a running back on the offensive side of the ball to give them a little bit more balance offensively. They're getting after the quarterback as well as anybody in the country, 25 sacks in the last 5 games. So I just trust LSU a little bit more. Connor Wegman, the Texas A&M quarterback, I have no idea what I'm getting from him. He's a box of chocolates. Am I getting the guy from a couple weeks ago that destroyed Missouri? He was 18 out of 22 for almost 300 yards, or the guy against a bad Mississippi State defense last week that threw 2 picks? I don't know. So again, I'm going to go with the more certain factor, at least in my mind, that's LSU.
Okay, it is now time to get into Brad's best bets here for the weekend. He has 3 of them. Let's start with Notre Dame taking on Navy. Total of 51 in this one, and you think the boys are going to go over?
Yeah, I'm going to go over 51 here. A little bit of win, but I mean, neither team really overly relies on the passing game, to say the least. But Navy's having a historical year offensively. They got a new offense coordinator, a lot of different formations. They're actually running out of the shotgun 40% of the time. It's not a basic triple option. So I think it's going to take Notre Dame's defense a couple possessions and maybe some bad possessions to start getting adjusted. And then everyone, dogs on Notre Dame's offense. But the reality is, since the upset loss against Northern Illinois in week 2, this offense has averaged 41 points per game. So I think they're capable against a bad Navy defense. That Navy's best offense they faced was Memphis this year. They won the game, but they gave up 650 yards. So over 51 for me.
All right, next up, we have a 14.5-point spread between Northwestern and Iowa. You like the underdog Northwestern to make this a bit of a game.
Yeah, and a total of less than 40. So I think there's some, correlation here. Tough to lay points with an Iowa team that can't throw the football. An Iowa team that's been overrated all year, in my opinion. And we saw it last week. It lost outright as a touchdown favorite on the road against Michigan State. I think we're buying Northwestern low after a couple of losses here. The main thing is I can't lay more than 14 with Iowa's offense right now.
Okay, next up, probably I think it's fair to call this an under the radar play.
Yeah.
You like Temple +8. They're taking on East Carolina. Why do you like Temple to cover this number?
Yeah, I think the buy sign came on from them last week. The market liked them against. They were actually favored in a game against the Tulsa. They won the game, took care of business, won by 10. And actually, probably came on. The light bulb came on in a Connecticut game the week prior to that, where they fumble at the goal line on the last play of the game. Connecticut returns it for a touchdown. Very misleading final, where they could have won the game outright. Instead, they lose by 9. If you didn't watch that play, I think that's giving us some value here. On top of it, East Carolina just fired their head coach. First game for an interim. I'm not buying the interim coaches anymore. I mean, it's not like he has a shot at getting a permanent job. So I think the kids are pretty much checked out. Temple outright. I think they got to sprinkle on the money line a little bit here.
There we go. For those of us who want to get greedy. Okay, every Friday I ask Brad a non-betting related question. So this one's actually going to be sports related. We've talked TV, wrestling, food, something sports related. I invite you guys in the live chat to chime in and give us your answer. What is the best sports game or best sports moment that you've witnessed in person, Brad?
It's probably not the most memorable to everyone out there. I've been to a bunch, but I was on the field for the national championship game between Auburn and Florida State. It gets overlooked. It was a great game. It's the game where Jameis Winston threw to Kelvin Benjamin with 13 seconds left, a touchdown. They win the game. I'm literally right there. I'm on TV. I'm right there because I anticipated Florida State to be able at least to try to get down there on scoring range at the end of it. To see that on the field in person at the Rose Bowl, that is the Mecca if you're a college football fan. The sun setting on the San Gabriel Mountains. It was just an unbelievable atmosphere, and to be there right on the field was my favorite moment.
Damn, I haven't been to too many high stakes games living in Eastern Canada. I went to a Celtics Pacers playoff game once. That wasn't especially memorable. I did go to, mine's more recent. I was at UFC 300. I don't know if you follow UFC very closely at all, Brad, but UFC 300 in Las Vegas, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, the BMF title, the buzzer beater knockout by Max Holloway. That was more of a moment than the event as a whole. The whole building, it was like the roof was going to blow off of that arena in Las Vegas. People literally jumping up and down. It was absolutely incredible. 10P Kid says first Bengals game lost 35-3 in the pouring rain. Yeah, that must have been an absolute blast. Okay, Brad, as efficient as always, we touched on like 7 or 8 games there and had time for something else at the end. So best of luck with all your bets here this weekend, Brad. Brad will be right back with us on Monday's show, recap what we saw on the weekend, and look forward to the week ahead. Brad, best of luck. Catch you on Monday.
And a lot of midweek games, so don't miss that Monday show because there's a good chance that I'll have midweek best bets on that Monday show.
Let's go. They hit this week. Right on, Brad. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Okay, a very active live chat here, guys. NFL coming right up, followed by World Series and the NBA. So let's not waste any time. Let's go to our NFL Friday guy, the man with, is he there? The man, there he is with the sexiest smile in sports betting. Jingles, have you attended many memorable professional or college sports events in person in your life?
Oh, this one's funny. Taiwan, baseball, Olympic qualifiers. Taiwan versus Canada. Stubby Clapp. I don't know if you know him. He's the first base coach now for Cincinnati. That's his real name. He's Canadian. Train wrecked the catcher who caught the ball, called him out. Everybody in the fans started throwing stuff on the field. We had to have like a police escort beside us because people were worried about us. Me and BDB were sitting there watching the game. He can attest to it. It was a really international baseball is really fun, especially 20,000 fans in a different market.
Wild stuff. Live chat. Cole Benman says, you guys crushed NBA yesterday. Thanks. Much love. Joe. Yeah, we're off to a great start here in the NBA. If you guys want to show us some love, hit the like and subscribe button right down there. We appreciate you guys tuning in, especially the new viewers Monday through Friday, covering everything that there's to cover in the world of sports betting here on Before You Bet on the Covers YouTube channel. Okay, Jingles, no more chit-chat. Let's get right into it. I'm going to get us started. So we talked about, Joe, when you're going to be giving out more teasers. You hit a teaser last week, so let's keep the teasers going. I couldn't find a teaser that I like, but I have something similar right around the same price. It is a money line parlay between two teams. We're going to pair the Packers and the Broncos together. They just got to win. It's minus 127 odds on this one. So the Packers down in Jacksonville taking on the Jaguars. Expect a big day for Jordan Love. Jacksonville 30th in yards allowed per pass attempt. They cannot pressure quarterbacks. Their defense stinks on third down. They're ranked 26th in the NFL. They're awful in the red zone, too. This is the worst red zone defense in the NFL. You take a look at this other game, Panthers in Denver taking on the Broncos. These Panthers losses are getting out of hand. They already have 5 losses by at least 18 points this season. Bryce Young starting. You think he's going to come in and save the day? They scored 13 points in his 2 starts earlier in the season. Just like a massive defensive advantage for Denver here, too. First in yards per play allowed for the Broncos taking on the Panthers, who were 31st in yards allowed per play. So Packers, Broncos, money line parlay, minus 127. Jingles, let's go to Prop City. A.J. Brown. What do you like for him?
I think A.J. Brown's the most important wide receiver to any offense in football, as we've seen. I believe they scored 82 points in the 3 games he's been there versus Green Bay, Cleveland, and the Giants. Some serious good defenses, and 52 without him versus bad defenses in Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. His target share with Devonta Smith on the field is massive. 62% air yard share, 37% target share. The guy is one of the most important people to an offense, and he scored touchdown in each one of his games since he's been there. Cincinnati has allowed 31 points in 3 weeks, but weeks 3, week 6, week 7, they faced some pretty terrible offenses. So I'm not really leaning too hard on the Cincinnati's defense is back. We saw them give up a ton of points early in the season. I think A.J. Brown's going to get 30% target share again. He's going to be looking good. I mean, this is a guy that can score from 45 yards out. We saw how bad Philly kind of is. I think they were 1 and 13 on third down last week, but it's the A.J. Brown show. Plus 150 is a really big number for the most important part of that offense.
Todd Albury says in the chat, bring back the GMP. Those of you who have been following my content for a while, that is the greasy money line parlay. I retired that twice. But if you want to do one this weekend, you could take those 2 teams, the Packers and the Broncos. And if you want to throw the Lions and the Chiefs money line into that as well, I think it was around plus 130 if you want to do it. That is not an official play for me. Okay, let's go on to, I usually have a lot of totals plays. There's only one really that I like here on Sunday, and I really like this one quite a bit. Saints Chargers under 41 points for this one. So Chargers games, which are 5-1 to the under, they're not just going under, they are going under by a lot. Average combined score of just 31.5 points in their games. 4 of their 6 games have stayed beneath 33 combined points. And look at what the Saints offense has done lately. 3 of their last 5 games, they've had outputs of 10, 13, and 12. 29th in yards per play over their last 3 games. If these teams get in close, expect field goal attempts, not touchdowns. 3rd and 7th in red zone defense. Chargers are 30th in red zone offense. So I love the under there in Los Angeles with the Saints in town. Jingles, back to Prop City. Madison, what do you like for him?
It's an ugly matchup. I'm on some backs with some ugly matchups. You mentioned Carolina getting the doors blown off him, but Chuba Hubbard still gets like 15 carries a game, which is so funny, like 82% snap share. Alex Matheson's in that kind of vicinity where he's now the number 1 back. Zamir White came back last week, but this was a guy who took 26 of 30 RB opportunities. They like him. It's a tough matchup versus Kansas City, but at least in this spot, we have a divisional game, and he's really good in the pass game. So we're going to take him on the total yards. I do like his rushing, but I'm afraid revenge game versus Kansas City might get out of hand. And at the end of the day, Gardner Minshew might be the most noodlest armed quarterback in all of football. He had 3 passes longer than 12 yards last week. He threw at the sticks or further just 9 times, and I think he was 0 for 9. He's bad, but guess what? Bad quarterbacks like throwing short passes to running backs, so there's a lot of outs within this. He can get the volume in a rushing game. Maybe the divisional game stays close and we get neutral game script, but he's the number 1 back now, and I don't think it's fully priced into where he is.
Yeah, he absolutely stinks. That is fair. Okay, we're staying in Prop City. I'm going to take Josh Jacobs to go over his receiving yard total. 15.5 receiving yards for him. down there in Jacksonville. He's getting consistent targets at Jordan Love at quarterback. He's coming off a game where he had 5 targets. He is averaging 22.4 receiving yards in the 5 games with Love as a starter. And most importantly here, the Jaguars are getting absolutely destroyed by running backs in the passing game. They're allowing a league-high 57.5 yards through the air to running backs on the season. So we'll go Jacobs over 15.5 receiving yards. Cedric Tillman next for you. What do you like for him?
Cedric Tillman. I mean, I like the role. This is how it works out. Negative game script, trailing. Jameis Winston, upgraded quarterback, elite rush defense that they're facing. So they're going to have to pass. And 12 targets last week. He went 8 catches for 81 last week. Not all of that was with Jameis. Jameis had the last series. He targeted him twice, I believe, in 8 passes. 1 connection at 25 yards. And he missed another deep ball to Tillman. So I like the 50 here. It's 39. It was 38.5. It's going up. Happy with that. But I think this is a spot where you can get some plus money on the over 50 plus yards. There's a lot of people. I just think the change in what this offense is going to be under Winston, who just slings it, maybe a little dangerously and aggressively, that's fine. But there's going to be some more value on these guys. And I think Tillman at this spot at 39 jumps from a 3rd role to now the number 2 role, playing 89% of the snaps. He's going to be a big volume guy.
Okay, my final prop for the show today. I'm probably going to have a few more that I'm going to put out on Twitter. There's a few guys that I have my eye on, a couple of markets I have on my radar that haven't opened up yet. So keep your eyes peeled for those. JTFOZ on X. Brock Bowers, don't overthink it, guys. A lot of people, this guy's just going off. I'm kind of surprised to see this number at 58.5 receiving yards, especially when you consider the matchup. Give me a second to explain that. So they got no one else here, really. And they're finding this guy. He's been open a lot. He's had double-digit targets in 3 straight games, 36 total. As a result of that, he's averaging 87 yards per game during that 3-game stretch. And check out this opponent. Yes, the Chiefs' defense as a whole, they are absolutely fantastic. One of the best defenses in the league. But they're awful at defending the tight end position. They're allowing an average of 83.5 receiving yards per game to tight ends. And all of this, despite the fact that they haven't really played a whole lot of marquee tight ends. Now, I know Kittle had a good game against them last week, but they're getting killed by the tight end position. Expect Bowers to keep on rolling, go over 58.5. Okay,
get him in that 90 to 100 range, but not to 100, right? I think it's been like 3 games where he just can't get to that 100-yard mark.
Well, I had him to get 100 plus 410 odds last week. That one's done. Okay, final NFL pick. Then we're going to talk some World Series Game 1 action. Chase Brown, what do you like for him?
Carries. I think I'm big on carries again this week. Guys like Chuba Hubbard, guys like Madison, guys like Chase Brown. There's a lot of guys who I think the value's gone on Joe Mixon. The value was there last week, but it's gone. But Chase Brown has taken over the snap rate in 2 straight weeks. He's out-produced Zach Moss in 4 straight weeks. Took 25 and 37 RB carries over the last 2 weeks. It's a great spot. And Zach Moss is losing his role. 12 carries, 20 yards over the last 2 weeks. There's not a lot to like in there. And Philly has seen, sure, we can say kind of like in the Cincinnati vein where we're saying Philly's defense is getting stronger, but they've seen Cleveland and the Giants in the last 2 weeks. So I'm not sold on it. This is still one of the best offenses in all of football. I think T. Higgins is a guy who we should be betting on more than maybe Chase Brown because his target share is much higher. And he's a big time receiver right now. But underneath, if they can keep this game neutral, if they can be in this lead, Chase Brown has a good path for 15 carries, which he had last week.
Okay, let's move over to Major League Baseball. Yeah, these guys have been off all week. It is the Mega Football Friday edition of the show, but it is the Mega World Series that I've been talking about forever. It gets underway tonight in Los Angeles. Pretty decent starting pitching matchup. Garrett Cole, Jack Flaherty. The Dodgers favorite -130. Yankees +110. A total of 8.5. I'm seeing the over slanted to -122 odds. We got a couple props for you here. This one is so close. if you're taking someone to win the game, I'd probably go with the Yankees here with Garrett Cole on the mound. Jack Flaherty's been pretty spotty here in the playoffs so far. But we got a couple of props for you, a hitting prop and a pitching prop. I'll get to start with the hitting prop. We're going to go Giancarlo Stanton over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, minus 105 odds on this. I think it is an absolute bargain. So this dude's hot. In case you weren't paying attention, he's topped this number in 7 of his last 8 games. He has a total of 27 hits, runs, and RBIs in 9 playoff games. And he absolutely loves hitting at Dodger Stadium, a career OPS of over 1,000 in 25 games at Dodger Stadium with 10 home runs. He might go over this one swing of the bat. He's hit a home run in 3 straight games now, I think. And I do think he's undervalued compared to the other top hitters in this market. You look at Judge, he's around minus 140, Betts minus 135. Freddie Freeman even has longer odds than Stanton. Shohei Ohtani, his number's set at 2.5. So I think Stanton's being undervalued, slept on a little bit here. He's going to get his 4 at-bats. Stanton, over 1.5. Let's talk.
Flaherty was junk. Flaherty, like 8 hits, 8 runs in that last start, 3 innings. Like, he was bad. He was batting his first outing. Okay, very good in the second outing and the third. Dave Roberts was very worried about him.
I heard he was sick. Who
Velo
knows
was down.
how much truth there is? Sometimes, he was so bad that maybe, hey, did someone just kind of float that to, give him a boost? But he was good the game before that, but then he got shook-handed the game before that. So
I think Buster Olney said it right after your spot today on 1050, saying that his velo was down. They asked Dave Roberts about it, and Dave Roberts mentioned, he's like, yes, we're watching him very closely to see where that velocity is.
Yeah, so I was listening to...
It's a bad rotation already, but game 1, the bullpen's ready.
Maybe a live betting opportunity for this game. I was listening to Jeff Passan, ESPN, and he was talking about this game, talking about Flaherty, and he said, we're going to know what kind of game we're going to get out of Flaherty right off the bat. If his fastball is only around 90 to 92, he might be in trouble. So that might be a live betting opportunity for a Yankees team total or maybe even Yankees money line. So something to keep on your radar for the game tonight, and something else to keep on your radar, this prop you have for Garrett Cole.
I want Cole too, but I like Flaherty's under 4.5 at plus 120 strikeouts. I got both guys in my card. But Cole, under 4.5 strikeouts, plus 105. I know you were on one of his over 4.5s, but he hasn't gone over this yet in 3 games. And a lot of that is coming down to he is dropping substantially in his season rates in swinging rate, which is down 7.8% from 11%, which is massive. Swinging strike rate is one of the most important things a pitcher can do within this market. And his called strike whiff, which is strikes looking, strikes swinging, 29% during the regular season, down to 20% in the playoffs. And now he's got to face the Dodgers, who are the number 3 team in K percentage, that being on the good side of K percentage. He's faced Kansas City twice, who was an average to a below average strikeout team and still hasn't got it over. Now we add in, let's say, a fully rested bullpen. They want to get him into game 5, so maybe they can get him into game 7, so they don't need to push him too much. There's a lot to like on both unders, and hopefully we get that Flaherty throwing milk jugs out there at 90 miles an hour early.
All right, Jingles, before we go, we know you cover NFL, Major League Baseball. You just did for us on this show. You're covering the NHL, the Stack Man, cleaning up. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the NHL and where people can find that content.
Posting stacks every day right now until the books say you're not allowed to bet it anymore, because that's where we're going with them right now.
Explain to people what that is. So I know what it is, but people who don't follow a lot of hockey or haven't been following this little trend or theme of your betting here, break this down for us.
So basically, you just need to find correlated line mates in hockey who play on the line together at 5-on-5 and the first power play unit. Sometimes all 3 guys on the line correlate, and you use 1 unit on them and put all of them over for 1 point. And we hit a couple last night of like plus 420, plus 250. Or just straight 2-pair guys if they play together. If they're playing most of their shifts together, they're going to point together, and that's kind of where it is. And it was 17 units last night. It was a losing night on Frozen Frenzy Tuesday, which was the big slate, but over the last, I think it's 8-9 days, it's like over 50 units. It's to the point where, sorry, Bobby Newport says, shh, don't tell anybody. We've already given away the edge And we're kind of just waiting to see until this edges up, but I appreciate the shout out on it.
Absolutely. All right,
Go
buddy.
well, it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Take advantage while it's still there. All right, buddy. Best of luck with all your bets this weekend, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again on Monday for Monday Night Football and World Series Game 3.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. Okay, moving right along. We covered college football, NFL, and World Series Game 1 all within a half an hour. Now, a lot of new viewers tuning in for our NBA picks, NBA opening week here. Jon Metler and I off to a good start. Good night for us last night. I believe we went 4-0 combined with our picks. So it was the return of the Sweet Boys. Sweet Boys, Sweet Boys. What you going to do? What you going to do when we come for you? There he is. Sweet Boys, right, John?
Yeah, we almost had the Sweet Boys the night before too. If you just didn't fade, the Magic, we would have been fine.
I know. I got greedy. I should have stuck to 2 picks, but went 3 that night. So we have 5 total here tonight. A mix of props. Well, it's 4 props and 1 spread bet is what it is. But yeah, let's get into it. You have 3. I have 2. You're going to start here with Andre Drummond. What do we got for him?
Yeah, one of the best passers in the entire NBA. That's why we're going over half assists.
Of course.
Andre Drummond. I mean, the obvious is Joel Embiid's not playing. So when you're looking at it from like a minutes perspective, Andre Drummond is the backup center. So there really is no center to back him up. So your minutes, those look obviously very secure. The one thing, he didn't get assists in the first game against the Milwaukee Bucks. The opportunity here that kind of grabs your attention is, against the Bucks, if he's going to get one, it's probably going to be an offensive rebound and a kick out to a shooter. And that's obviously going to be more available versus the Toronto Raptors versus the Milwaukee Bucks when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez. Obviously, those rebounding opportunities aren't really there. The other thing, too, is, I mean, he's the screener a lot for Tyrese Maxey because that's how they use Joel Embiid, the 2-man game. And when you're setting that many pick and rolls, I mean, Maxey can make a pocket pass, and is Drummond going to turn around and like shoot a jump shot like Embiid? No, he probably will make a pass too. So you didn't really see it last game, but I think the opportunity is still there. And the price, I mean, a half at minus, I bet at -105, but it's -120, still really good edge there. You have to, I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
Indeed. Okay. My favorite spread bet of the night. I'm going to take the Pelicans -5.5. They're in Portland taking on the Trailblazers. It's at 6 at a lot of places. I don't mind it at 6. If you want to play that 6, no issue there whatsoever. This is off. I think this is a great bargain that we're getting here tonight. So a recent history of ass kickings for the Pelicans over the Blazers. 6 straight wins by 9 or more points. When they last met in Portland in April, the Pelicans were favored by 14 points. They were favored by 13 in a game in March, 8.5 in a game in February. Now, I know Portland had guys in and out of the lineup consistently last year, but this is a pretty big drop-off down to 5.5. And those guys that Portland had out of the lineup, big-time difference makers, Jeremy Grants of the world? Not really. I don't think so. And did you see Portland in their season opener? They might be the worst team in the NBA. They lost by 36 versus the Golden State Warriors. Curry only played 25 minutes, scored just 17 points. And it's too early in the season for a team like the Pelicans to be playing down to the competition. You'll be able to get these spots later in the year where teams might want to take the night off. It's the second game of the season. They look pretty sharp in their season opener against the Bulls. They smacked them. So I like the Pelicans. I got them 5.5. A lot of 6s out there, like I said. So expect them to keep on rolling during their history of matchups here with the Blazers. Next up, let's go Marcus Smart of the Grizzlies. What do you like for him?
Yeah, Marcus Smart over 2.5 assists, a lot of juice, -139, but there's still a big edge, even if you're laying that amount of juice. I did tweet out, you can go 4+ assists too if you want. You can go for an alt market if you want. I think that's definitely in play. His last game, his total was 3.5, and that's kind of what really drew it to me this morning. Was when I saw it was 2.5, immediately it was like alarms went off my head, like, no, he's not 2.5. Like, we're going to take this, because last game when he was 3.5, I was looking at it and I almost made it a play. He only had 1 assist, not great, but 6 potential assists. That's a good number when you're talking about a total of 2.5. Only 26 minutes. That's not a lot of minutes either, right? So 6 potential assists in 26 minutes. The one thing that really popped for me too, like Zach Edey, new to the lineup. Obviously, Marcus Smart's kind of new. He played last year, but he was injured a lot. Zach Edey is going to be really big when it comes to finishing off potential assists. I mean, those are like dunks around the rim, layups, things like that. I mean, he should be able to convert them. He only played 14 minutes last game. He fouled out, 6 fouls in 14 minutes. So even if he's just on the floor for like 20, 25 minutes, that really helps all the Grizzlies with their assist prop. So just another small angle that probably hurt Marcus Smart last game, and hopefully he can play more than 14 minutes tonight.
Okay, my final pick of 7 that I've given out, 7 or 8 on today's show. There's a lot of prep involved in today's show, prepping for college football, NFL, World Series, NBA. I absolutely love it. It's a good way to make a living. So I've been on a decent roll here with these player point total unders, 3-0 on them in the season. The reason I like taking these is sometimes you get pretty good breaks on them. You get a player that gets injured. That's what happened to Brandon Miller. You get blowouts, and the guy comes out of the game. That was Karl Anthony Towns the other night. Kind of Kuzma. He probably wouldn't have hit it either way. But we're going to target a guy in a game that has a big spread, biggest spread of the night, I think, 10.5. We're going to go Jarrett Allen under his point total of 15.5. So he is clearly the 4th option here for Cleveland. He only took 7 shots in the season opener. And I do think it's fair that to expect the Cavs to have Evan Mobley even more involved in the offense this season. So don't expect Cleveland to be running a lot of plays here for Allen. A lot of his points come off offensive rebounds, sometimes lobs when they get in close. He wasn't successful against the Pistons last season either. The Pistons aren't good at a lot of things, but they were good at limiting him. He only averaged 13 points a game against them. He went under this number in 3 of the 4 games. And like I talk about, potential for a blowout here. This game has the biggest spread of the night, I believe, 10.5 points. So maybe his minutes get cut short. Maybe we don't see him much in the 4th quarter. We'll go under 15.5 for Allen. John, bring it home for us. Final pick on the show today. Everyone's favorite player, Dylan Brooks, baby. Let's go. I love this bet. I was surprised to see it so low.
That's the thing. This was a theme last year with Dylan Brooks. He really gets good numbers in the market. He won us quite a few bets because people just literally don't like him. And it usually shows over, value to the over. And then there's a big edge projection wise when you're looking at Dylan Brooks and where this number is trading. And it's like super hard to not, look at the obvious narrative that he's playing the Memphis Grizzlies and he hates the Memphis Grizzlies. There is like a pure rivalry between that relationship did not end well. So like, I'm not betting on it just because he is playing the Memphis Grizzlies, but when you see a projection that's well over a total, and then that's also there, I mean, it's really hard not to make this a play. I bet this at 8.5 minus 125. This is very similar to the Santi Aldama thing where the market is kind of moved now to 9.5. It might even be like minus money now. I think this might have flipped right before we came on here to like minus 105. It's still a good bet. He's projected for 10.8 points. And the thing with those 10.8 points, that was only on 27 minutes. That's not a lot of minutes. So like there's a chance there's, that edge that's a really low, like a conservative projection is what I'm trying to say. 27 minutes is not a lot. So there's a good edge here. I really like this play on Dylan Brooks. They're playing the Grizzlies. I got mixed up. I'm like, he's on the Grizzlies. Not on the Grizzlies anymore. They're playing the Grizzlies. Grizzlies have 3 7-footers on the inside. All 3 of them can block shots. Obviously, Zach Edey. They're going to need to space the floor, catch and shoot opportunities. That should be Dylan Brooks too. That's how he does get most of his points.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. He went over that in, I think, all 4 matchups against the Grizzlies last season. I think he got into the 20s in 1 or 2 of the games, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, but I saw that you submitted it, so I said John can have it.
Honestly, your biggest concern with him is he mixes it up with someone and gets tossed. That's what you're honestly nervous about, is 2 technical fouls with him in this matchup against the Grizzlies. That actually happened. I think that happened to me once last year where he got tossed. I had an overplay on him, but for the most part, he did really good for us last year.
Indeed. And I think today was our most efficient show of all time in the history of the show. We've been doing this for around a year and a half now, 18 total picks across 4 leagues with 3 different guests in less than 40 minutes. That's pretty damn good. So I got to tell you guys, we got a lot going on here at the Covers YouTube channel. I interviewed the GOAT of MMA, the UFC legend, George St. Pierre. And that video is up on the Covers YouTube channel right now. We have a mega pay-per-view card going down tomorrow afternoon for those of us in North America. I discussed all the top fights and all the big storylines going on in the world of the UFC with GSP. So make sure you check that out. And check out the hockey show, covering everything that there is to cover here. Metler's going to be right back with us on Monday's show, crushing the NBA here so far. So let's wrap it up here, I guess. Thank you to my 3 guests for joining me today. Thank you to producer Mick, who is on the mend. He'll be back on that 6-foot water bong in no time here, hitting the nightclub tonight. Big shout out to our sponsor, BetMGM, for sponsoring the show. Thank you to all the viewers for tuning in. Guys, best of luck with your bets tonight, tomorrow, Sunday. We'll catch you again on Monday. Woo!